Today our exploration is at 3 sites in the south of Hampshire, that is Christchurch, Lymington and Beaulieu. Christchurch first opened in 1926 and was known as Bury's Field. As the handwritten amendment to this guide shows, by the 1930s it had become a proper aerodrome. This rapid expansion was largely due to the work of a gentleman called Francis Fisher, who ran a pleasure flying concern using an Avro 504K. Several operators used the aerodrome for their scheduled services, generally operating de Havilland Fox Moths and Dragons. The site was requisitioned by the Air Ministry during the early part of the Second World War. Here on this photo you can see some dummy roads painted on the aerodrome surface. The aircraft manufacturer Airspeed built a factory on the north side of the site. You can see it on this Luftwaffe photograph. It's about in the middle of the top of the photograph. Airspeed are probably best known for building the wartime Horsa gliders, which were generally towed out of the site, fully finished, by Handley Page Halifax bombers equipped with towing apparatus. They also built the Airspeed Oxford light twin, which was used in a variety of roles, and many de Havilland Mosquitoes. A very surprising visitor in April 1941 was a Booker-Jungmann aircraft, which was stolen from Caen airfield in France by 2 enterprising Free French Air Force pilots. In 1943, work started on a new pier steel planking runway on a site just to the east of the existing airfield. Once construction was complete, airfield operations were handed over to the Americans, with the 405th Fighter Group moving in. It was an ideal location for them, only being 80 miles away from occupied France. After the Second World War, flight operations continued on both the original aerodrome and the new aerodrome sites. Airspeed developed and built the Airspeed Ambassador airliner at Christchurch. Test flying didn't always go quite as planned. This was a landing accident after exploring the limits of the centre of gravity and finding them. Airspeed also built several de Havilland fighter types at Christchurch, including the Sea Venom and the new Sea Vixen. And a new hard surface runway was built on the old alignment of the Second World War pier steel planking runway. As well as aircraft manufacturing, there was a lot of private flying going on at Christchurch until the late 1960s. The Airspeed factory closed in 1962, and by 1970 it was all over. This is the original pre-war flying site, now completely obliterated by urban progress. The whole site hasn't fared much better. Very little remains. A couple of the Airspeed buildings still exist in light industrial use, but that's about it. Mr. Smith at Buckland Farm, Lymington, had a landing ground from 1933 to 1938. It wasn't a very large site, although surprisingly it showed a hangar in the northwest corner. Interestingly, the modern images show a building on the site in exactly the same position as the old hangar. The Beaulieu estate is owned by Lord Montague, and probably best known for Beaulieu Abbey and the National Motor Museum. The pre-war landing ground was at Swinesley's farm, and Mr. Ford, the tenant farmer, would shoo the sheep away and collect the landing fee on behalf of the Beaulieu estate. Just to the west of the old AA landing ground is the much larger Beaulieu aerodrome, which was built early in the Second World War and closed in 1950. On the next episode, we'll head across to the Isle of Wight and then further east into Sussex. See you then. Thanks for watching.